Today we are talking about 4 steps to manifesting money and abundance, and truly how that becomes possible as we activate our power. So one of the things that I often hear from women is that they feel like they're kind of waiting on something, right, for that to happen, right? And so I want to just put it out there that I want you to stop waiting. Stop waiting on God, stop waiting on the universe, source, infinite intelligence, whatever it is that you want to call it. Stop waiting on a man or a client or that next business opportunity, right? Because amongst spiritual and heart-centered women, there is often this idea that, you know, if God or the universe or source, whatever you want to call it, right, had something to, you know, they would just give it to you, right? But you might have to wait to be good enough, right? To prove over a period of time that you are worthy, right? And then finally, some sort of miracle would just come into play, right? And you would be granted the money, right? Fate would give you that abundance that it is that you're desiring. And the truth is that you actually already have the power to rearrange your life, right? To actually create the financial reality that you want. It's already within you. And so that's the conversation that I want to have, because we don't actually need to wait for God or the universe. We don't need to marry a rich husband, right? We don't need to sign a new client to pay off a big invoice, right? Or to have anything else happen that we think might actually solve our problems, right? We don't have to behave in some sort of pious way, right? We don't even have to believe any specific doctrine, right? Instead, what we need to do is activate our own power. And so that's what I want to talk about, right? I want to talk about how you are actually in charge of how life goes for you. So tell me in the comments, is this resonating? Is this something that you have thought before, right? If only if I had this, you know, then I could, you know, go on to do that, right? Is that something that you've ever thought, right? Is that something that you've ever said? Because as we move forward into this new reality that you want to create for yourself, I want you to be really clear that what you choose to create from here on out is not defined by your past, right? There's nothing to prove. There's no one to impress, right? You are enough just the way that you are, right? And every aspect of your life gets to be a heck of a lot better when you stop doubting, you stop questioning, you stop beating yourself up about that, and you just accept it as truth. So right now in the comments, I'd love for you to accept it as truth. I'd love for you to type in, I am enough right now. I am enough right now to create the financial future that I desire. I want you to type that into the comments, because there's a powerful energy that gets created when you start to claim that. So here's the thing. You are worthy, right? You are absolutely 100% worthy, right? And you're worthy just because you are, right? And the truth is that life didn't really set most of us up to live the lives that we want, right? So we have to do some work, right? We have to do the work to declutter all of those limiting beliefs that might be, you know, hanging out in the background and sabotaging us, right? We have to do the work to decide what it is that we want, right? We have to do the work to align with what it is that we want energetically, vibrationally, emotionally, you know, set ourselves up physically, all of those things, right? And we have to decide that what we want is actually destined for us, right? That we deserve that. So you may not be perfect, but you are innately enough, right? None of us are perfect. You know, the truth is that you are at choice. You are always at choice, right? And so you get to choose to be oriented towards growth. You get to choose to better your life and yourself every day, right? You get to choose to turn around any ways of being that aren't serving you, right? You get to choose to leave any self-sabotaging behaviors behind, right? You get to break the mold. You get to defy the odds, right? You get to give the middle finger to doubt, right? And to design your life the way that you want to design it, right? Because it's totally possible for you. So I want to just recognize that sometimes it doesn't feel possible. And so if there's somebody who's listening into this either now or on the replay and you're like, yeah, but it just doesn't feel possible, Alexandra, I want to tell you that there was a time in my own life when, you know, when maybe you would have looked at me from the outside in and thought, that may not be possible for her, right? Right? You would have seen a girl who was looking for answers outside of herself, right? You would have seen someone who was probably just abandoning herself and working, endless hours at a job that was like sucking life out of her, right? You would have looked and said, maybe she'll get a little bit, but it's going to be kind of mediocre, right? With lots of struggle and stress. But here's the deal, like that's not what turned out, right? I didn't create that. I have transformed my own experience, right? I have completely removed, right, any situations, right? I've been courageous enough to take myself out of situations or lifestyles or beliefs or perspectives or habits or dynamics that didn't work for me, right? And it's through this realization that we may not be perfect, but we are innately enough, right? And this work is an inside job kind of work, right? It begins with you. The work that I did began inside of me, right? The work that you're going to do has to begin inside of you, right? So I just want to remind you that like you can step into something different, right? You can determine what happens to you. You can be in control of how, of what it is that you choose to accept or not accept inside of your life, right? You get to determine that. You get to create that through your words, through your thoughts, through your actions and your energy. So I want to walk you through this 4-step process. The first step, and you guys may want to take notes, is to identify what it is that you want. And I know that sounds pretty basic, but it's truly the foundation, because once you have clarity about what it is that you want, then you can actually start to walk yourself there. And for some of you, this is going to feel confusing. It's going to feel hard to define what it is that you want. Every time we begin a new class of money mastery students, the women really are challenged to articulate and to have clarity around what it is that they desire and what it is that they want, and to actually claim that for themselves, right? It's a big abundance block, right? And it can feel like, oh, there's so many options, or what should I choose? Or I don't really know what I want, right? But I'm going to just press you and say that that's probably not true, because the truth is you actually know what you want. You're just afraid to admit it to yourself, right? Because you have all of those stories, those thoughts in the background that are saying, but you can't have that, but, accept, right? All of that chatter that's in your mind, that mind trash, right? So the truth is, you know what you want, but you're afraid to admit it, because what happens when you actually claim what it is that you want is that it's out there, right? You're responsible for it, right? You actually have to look at maybe why you don't feel worthy of having it, right? Maybe you actually feel like then you're responsible for doing something about it, right? About creating it, right? And so if you just don't admit it, then you don't have to do that work, right? But here's the truth, you guys, when it comes to your destiny, when it comes to your purpose, when it comes to your life, when it comes to your joy, when it comes to your calling, those things are way too important to keep lying to yourself, right? To keep sabotaging yourself, to keep, putting yourself on that back burner, right? To keep denying yourself. It is way too important. So that also means that when it comes to your money, when it comes to your bank account, when it comes to your finances, right? Your financial stability, your financial resources, your ability to support yourself, your ability to generate, to make, to save, to earn, right? And your ability to trust yourself with money, right? That's way too important as well, right? Right? Your capability to have money, your ability to live out your desires, right? To do the things that are on your heart and to do them the way that you want to do them, right? They're way too important to keep lying to yourself. So I want you to write that into the comments. I want you to make a proclamation for yourself, right? That what is desired by me is destined for me, What is desired by me is destined for me. And if you have clarity about what it is that you want to create, I would love to invite you to share that inside of the comments, right? To actually speak that out, to voice it out, to be heard, even inside of this conversation that we're having, right? Allow yourself to claim it and to ask yourself, what do you want, right? That's the question. What do you want? And then be honest with yourself about what unfolds, right? What wisdom you're allowing yourself to tap into as you do that. This is the most important question that there is, because when you do this, when you allow yourself to ask this question about what do you want, I want you to frame it with this mindset. I want you to frame it with, if nothing were bad or wrong, what would I want, right? If no matter what I did, no one would be mad at me, what would I want? If no matter what I wanted, it would happen, what would I want? If I could fully trust myself, right, to do my part, what would I want, right? Those are really beautiful questions to also capture as you ask yourself this bigger question of what you want, right? Because it's going to put it in context of expanding out of the limiting beliefs into a place of possibility. So I want you to ponder these questions, and I want you to remind yourself that you're not wrong. Your desires aren't wrong. There's nothing wrong with you, right? And there's nothing wrong with wanting what you want, right? So you get to want it because what is desired by you is destined for you, right? So, and I love seeing that in the comments. Okay, step 2. This is where awareness comes in. We're going to actually check in and we're going to notice what those limiting beliefs say about what you can't have, right? Because something really, really phenomenal happens when you actually claim what it is that you want, right? And not only is it really great, but it's also kind of uncomfortable, because once you identify what you want, your mind is going to actually start to bombard you with reasons why you can't have it. Because this is just the natural way of the mind, keeping you in that comfort zone, keeping you in a place that feels safe, right? Whatever it is that you're acclimatized to, whatever it is that you're comfortable with, right? That's what your mind is wanting to keep you safe with. And so it's going to come up with reasons why you can't have it, right? To keep you in that safe zone. So your job is going to be to disprove those lies. So, when it comes to money, often there's some really just like very common thoughts that come up, and I want to voice them out so we can actually disprove those lies here together. So your job is to disprove the lies. So if the lie that comes up is that, you think you're bad with money, then the answer is no, right? Like maybe your mom told you that you were bad with money, or maybe your mom had a story that she was bad with money and you decided to believe that, right? But that story, it was just something that you bought into that you can say goodbye to, right? It doesn't necessarily mean it's the truth. Is it ultimately true that rich people are greedy, right? Because that's a lie that often comes up, right? The answer is no, right? Maybe you saw somebody who was wealthy who was being a jerk, right? But there's also really wealthy people who are incredibly generous, right? That has nothing to do with you. So I just want to bust that right here, because money is an amplifier. It only will allow you to become more of who you already are, right? It's not going to give you some quality that you don't have. So if you're not a jerk now, you're not going to be a jerk with money, right? You're just going to amplify that generosity that's already inside of you. Is it ultimately true that you would lose all your money to taxes if you're rich, right? Because that's a big one. People have a real fear around taxes, and then they keep themselves small and compressed because of that, right? No, taxes are a part of it, but it's not going to be all of it, right? And you can manage that, right? There are things that you can do. You can work with accountants to figure out ways to keep more of your money, right? And also to adjust your perspective about being grateful that you have enough money that, you're going to be taxed on some of it, but you have enough money to pay those taxes, right? Is it ultimately true that you can only make money by working hard, right? Because this is another block that often comes up. This is one of those lies, right? No, because many people have multiple streams of income. Yeah, there are some people who are working really, really, really hard and they're making no money, right? We all know those people. And there are people who aren't working as hard, who have, set up multiple streams of income, who've set up passive revenue streams, right? As the saying goes, work smarter, not harder, right? So let's just bust some of those beliefs. So notice what your particular beliefs are that are rising up in your head, whether they're big generalities like we just talked about, or they're specific to your own fears, right? Writing them down so you can actually do the work of busting through them, right? Which brings us to step number 3, which is really about deciding how you want things to be for you. What's the new normal that you're going to create, right? Now that you've covered all the lies, right? You get to decide, what do you want to be true, right? All of those lives have been running your life up to now. Many of them you've just kind of adopted, right? By accident, right? You just decided to operate by them because they were things that your parents told you or things that you saw around you, right? And it wasn't necessarily a deliberate decision, right? So this is why it's never dependent. Your abundance, your money flow is never dependent on an employer, marrying a rich man, the next client, like some big opportunity falling in your lap, right? Money flows to you and has been flowing to you in the ways that you previously believed it would. So I want you to lean in a little bit closer and really listen to what I'm saying, because this is a huge concept. And this is one of those like mind blowers, right? Money has come into your experience based on how you believe it will, right? Because money is like anything else in the universe. It's never going to defy your free will, right? So if you don't believe something is possible for you, like it's not going to come in that way, right? Money has no mind of its own, right? You get to decide how money gets to work for you, how money flows to you, right? Just like you get to decide what clients you want, or who you want to marry, or who you want to date, or any of those kinds of things, right? Or, you get to decide what kind of promotions you want, or what raise you would like, or how you want to charge for your work, or what opportunities are available for you, or you get to decide what kind of money-making ideas come forward into your experience, or support, right? All the beautiful things that you want, you get to decide that. Right? You get to decide that those things are possible for you, right? And once you decide that they're possible for you, then it opens up you flip the switch so the opening is created for that to flow, right? As you start to believe this, things will naturally start to shift inside of your experience, because the internal, the external is always a mirror of the internal, right? And your life is never going to get bigger on the outside than you are whole on the inside. Your business is never going to get bigger than your capacity on the inside, right? What it is that you believe is possible for you and your capacity to contribute to that, right? So what new ways of life, right? And money always working out for you, are you ready to opt into? That's the question. What new ways of life and money always working out for you are you ready to opt into, right? Because this is the step that we're in, right? We're deciding how things get to be for us, right? So what are the beliefs that you want to opt into, right? What do you want to decide is possible for you? What do you want to have as your new standard, right? As an entrepreneur, maybe you want to decide that your ideal clients are ready to pay you in full. Maybe you're a woman who's climbing the corporate ladder and you want to decide that your boss is going to recognize your worth, your skill set, your voice, right? Your contribution, your vision, any of those things. This is a process of incremental growth, you guys. And so these kinds of limiting ideas are going to continue to pop up, and they're going to continue to challenge your decisions, your declarations, your conviction. So doing this work on a consistent basis to really always continuously be deciding, deciding how things get to go for you is really, really important. Are you guys getting this? Is this resonating? Put a yes in the comments. Okay. The fourth step. This is where things get really fun, where we actually start to shift our state, right? And we start to take inspired action. So it's a dual process here. One piece of this is knowing our unlimited abundance, right? Shifting our state into that, right? Shifting into the unlimited possibilities that exist around money, right? And your financial experience, right? And that money is making its way to you, right? These are really fun shifts, right? Because they're energetic shifts, right? You start to feel differently. You see things differently, right? You speak differently. You act differently, right? You vibrate differently, right? You start to take actions in a way that's in alignment with this unlimited abundance, right? Unlimited possibility, expansive opportunities always being there, money working for you, money being stable, being in a state of overflow, right? You start to vibrate from that space. You start to shift into believing that's possible for you, because everything is energy, right, you guys? And so when we shift our beliefs, when we shift what we believe is possible for us, when we decide how it gets to be for ourselves, we are shifting our energetic state, right? And everything has energy. And so if everything is energy, if everything has energy, everything that we think, everything that we are feeling, the images that we are imagining, all of that is creating our reality, right? So when you feel better about money, when you feel more expansive about what's possible for you, you create that new reality with money. You create more expansive opportunities for yourself, right? And you are responsible for how you think. You're responsible for the thoughts that you think, right? Right now, your brain, has previously been lying to you. It's been telling you all these things to protect you, right? To keep you small. And so when you walk yourself through these 4 steps, right, you're creating new ways of being. You're creating new energetic patterns. You're creating new thoughts. You're creating new connections inside of your brain, right? So I want to give you a couple different ways that you can actually shift your state and actively shift your state, right? So not only do you know what you want, you know what limiting beliefs are in the way, you understand how things you want things to be for yourself, you're going to actively work on shifting your state. And quick shifts can give you quick results. So for example, when you pay your bills, instead of feeling like, where's all this money going to, right? Is it possible for you to pay your bills with gratitude, right? You can even play this out with simpler topics, like be thankful for the water that you drink, right? Be thankful for the car that gets you around, right? Be thankful for the service that provider performed for you as you write your checks, right? Is it possible for you to feel appreciation for the money that you have now? Right? To just notice the abundance right now. That's going to shift your state. Is it possible for you to start to opt out of this it's never enough mindset or this lack mindset, right? That's going to shift your state, right? Is it possible for you to shift into a state of gratitude and a state of love, a state of joy, of appreciation and excitement around money each day? I often tell people, like, put $100 bill inside of your pocketbook and just go around your day getting excited about all the things that you could possibly buy with that $100 bill, right? You don't necessarily have to buy them. It's not about a material exercise. It's about an energetic exercise of shifting yourself into a state of abundance, right? Of all that's possible. Is it possible for you to become a vibrational match for money, right? You can begin to act and journal and think and feel inside of your experience right now as if you already had the money that you want. What if that product had already sold the thousands and thousands of dollars that you wanted to sell? What if your team was already at that place? What if you'd already achieved this rank? What if you're already at that title? What if you'd already had the success that you've been dreaming about? How would it feel to be her, right? That's the energetic piece, right? That's the shifting of your state. And then what happens in this 4th step is that we match that by actually taking action, right? Determining for ourselves, right, that we get to act like that next level abundant version of ourselves. And what are the actions that would take us closer to the vision that we want to achieve, right? Because it's not just an energetic piece. There's also a very tangible, practical piece that we have to implement with this, right? So asking yourself, right, what shifts do you need to step into? And then also this brilliant question of, What actions does this next level abundant version of you take? Maybe she invests in a course like Money Mastery to actually get herself in a community to, do this internal work and really cement it and integrate it, lock that learning in. Maybe your next level self takes action by hiring a coach. Maybe you decide to read a book. Maybe you decide to call somebody. Maybe you decide to put yourself out there in a different way, right? It doesn't matter what the action is. Just feel into it, listen to it, and get your own intuition. You guys, the message that I want to give you today, and I really, really hope that was transmitted, was that you are worthy of expanding into what you believe is possible for you, right? You are worthy of expanding what you believe is possible for you, right? What is desired by you is destined for you. It is absolutely 100% safe to claim what it is that you want, right? It is safe to notice what those limiting beliefs are that have been holding you back, and to decide to create a new normal for yourself, right? To decide how it gets to be for you, right? It's safe to shift your state into a place of abundance, right? It's safe to take aligned action in a way that's going to move you forward, to manifest more money, to create more abundance inside of your experience.